cover this grand.
It's so long. 87%.
We on? That's your super team. My dad's on the show. Look at that. We'll start at the top of the hour.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I can hear that. Oh yeah.
Like it.
Hello, hello.
How's the delay?
Others. I like you.
Maybe it's you and
Maybe I'll create a channel with yours on YouTube.
what? I don't know. Where, how are you along there? Government supported land. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. I'm counting.
I'll wait until I finish. Can you hear the water? You can keep the music going. It's okay. Do you hear water? Or you hear the refrigerator?
Leave the mic open. I can hear the water fountain.
That's good. That's all right. Unless it's a problem. Once I get talking, it'll be all right. That's good. The mic's that's too much ambience in the room. It should be very directional. You can let me know what time it is.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Okay, thanks. All right. Give me the old finger point. Well, welcome to Destination Freedom. I'm glad you're here. We wanted to make sure that we got in another talk here this week before I head out of town. I'm going to be heading into LA to do a live state citizenship class for some people in Southern California. Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Maybe getting to have a conversation with some attorneys, some accountants, people who have been dealing with the federal zone for a long time. It's my prayer and hope to open up some possibilities, have them see things from a different perspective, and that'll be fun. So I'm looking forward to it and helping them. Tonight, I wanted to get into a couple topics that hopefully you'll find interesting and enjoyable. A lot of times during the week, people will contact and come on to destinationfreedom.org and reach out to us and have questions and such as that. When I get back from LA, not next week, but the following week, it'll be, I'm going to set up a weekly call. It'll be on a Tuesday night for our clients and to be able to answer their questions, and they'll be able to interact and all that. We will not broadcast that. That won't be live, but that'll be available to our clients. And then, we'll be able to, there'll be no cost to that. That'll just be an informational call that'll happen every week for clients, people who are doing the passport process or doing other things we have. It's designed to be a support call. And then, of course, we'll have this weekly call. That'll be a general call that opens up possibilities for people who haven't done our processes yet. They may have questions and things. I want to be able to answer those general questions and help people move from wherever they are towards eliminating their income tax liability. And so that should be also a good time. Just wanted to make sure that if you support us, thank you for that. And want to make sure that you like us, subscribe, things like that. If you're watching this on YouTube, that's great. That somewhat, I guess, helps our algorithm, whatever that means. And also, we have a sister channel on BitChute. And Michael, can we get a link on the first page or down below on the destinationfreedom.org website? Can we get the a link to our BitChute chat account, Michael? All right, so yeah, I'm talking to you. So yeah, so keep on your own. That's good. No, I know, that's what I'm saying. That's, can we get a link on the web, the YouTube? I'm sorry. You can do it in the information on the YouTube chat, but also in on the website, a link to BitChute so people can get in there. That'll be great. And I think on the bottom of our website, we do have links. We should have other hyperlinks for our social media and whatever's there. Are we, that's good. And are we, do we have a Twitter or X account yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so that's coming. And what other social medias do we have? TikTok?
Instagram,
Do we have TikTok and Instagram? Are we ticking on talk?
just crawling.
That's awesome. I have to go there so I can see what that looks like. Yeah, so if you're on TikTok, I want to make sure that on X, I have some ideas of what I want to do on X, and that is when on popular topics and stuff, I think I'd like to comment on some popular topics, just so, and it's my commitment to make sure that's as funny as possible. I don't know if it'll be funny, but I'll find it funny.
It's possible.
So this, what I want to talk about in this particular call, and that is the responsibility of being free. You know, like I say in my class, you know, freedom is a spiritual concept. It's not a governmental thing, okay? And the difference between freedom and liberty is freedom is based on truth. You know, like you've heard before, the truth shall make you free. I think it was Jesus that said that. Anyway, so the more that you build truth into your heart and your mind, the freer you'll become. And so that's your work that you have to do in your own heart and mind, in your own relationship with other people, your own relationship with God, you know, how you're in harmony in your community and all that. All who you are and what you're about is that work of building freedom in your hearts. You know, remember William Wallace at the end of Braveheart, where he says, you know, they can take our lives, but they cannot take our freedoms. You know, liberty is the demonstration of that freedom, and it's in you know, it's with governments that violate us that they violate our liberties. They don't violate our freedoms. They violate our liberties. Nobody has the power to violate your freedom. That's what you build on the inside of you. You can be incarcerated and totally free. So that's your job and your responsibility. Speaking of responsibility, it's responsibility that that is the pathway to freedom. When you're doing legal remedies and things like that, you'll know that you're going down the right path when you are taking on more responsibility, absolving your governments of responsibility for you. Usually, you know this, every single time, without exception, when the government wants to encroach on your rights, they're always offering you safety or security for your freedom. And we know the founders had said that, you know, they can't guarantee either. You'll be giving up both liberty, you know, and your freedoms. You won't have security or safety because the government doesn't have that ability. Listen, if people are not free, or I should say are not, if they're harmed and they're not safe in prison, then what hope do you have to expect your government to secure your rights or to secure your liberties? As it says in the Declaration of Independence, it says, this is very familiar. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Then it says that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. Okay? Now, a lot of people have problems with consenting to government. Okay? But I don't think anybody would have a problem if the only thing the government was doing was securing rights. The only purpose of a just government is to secure rights. Everything else that a government does outside of securing rights is a violation of your humanity, okay? So the only just purpose of government is to secure rights. Everything else is offering privileges in which they can take away. Speaking of that, just so that you know, there's no such thing as constitutional rights. You could say constitutionally referenced rights, sure, but rights don't come from the Constitution, all right? And also, there's no such thing as civil rights or civil liberties. Those are privileges, okay? It's a misnomer. As the founding document says, we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Rights are natural. They come from the Creator. You're born with them. Are there women's rights or black rights? No, there's no such thing as group rights. There's only individual rights. If you want to secure the rights of a group, you must secure the individual. Otherwise, you secure no one. Are there gay rights? Are there women's rights? Are there, black rights? There's no such thing as that. Every single right everyone has, okay? And so that's the reality of it, because it's a very human thing. It's a natural thing. And that's what you want to understand, okay? So don't go seeking, you're going to be looking for your government to give you something if you're going to seek some sort of privilege like a group right. That's not a right. So, and listen, if you have any questions, you can always type them in on the bottom. And if we don't get them answered on this call, we'll look back and we'll look them up and get you some answers and whatever that you need. So the idea of rights, how much time do you spend developing your character and developing the truths that are in your heart? Do you spend any time endeavoring to better yourself and bringing a better you to the table? Are you enhancing the relationship you have with your children? Are you bettering yourself so that you can have a great relationship with your spouse or your family and things like that? How are you showing up for your work? Do you have a character that's worthy of relationship? One of the common mistakes that people believe is that they have a right to association. Association is always a privilege. Now, in the First Amendment, they talk about free assembly. Free assembly is not necessarily free association, okay? The problem with that is that nobody has a right to be with you. That's a privilege. You have to give permission for people to be with you. And when you think of this at a very human level, you'll recognize that governments many times require people to be, to interact or be with each other and things like that, or that they cannot leave their association. But the opening of the Declaration of Independence says, I'll think of it in a second here. It says, I'm spacing how the opening starts off, but I have it memorized anyway. Here we go, I got it. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people for one people to disassociate from another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should disclose the causes for the separation. So that paragraph, or that first sentence or sentences, is all about the right of disassociation. That's the right, not association. Okay, that's why exile is a more humane and a more human or a blessing of interacting with people. Because if someone is going to be funky or is interested or would violate your rights, then you have a right to say, I don't want to be with you. Leave me, leave my presence. And so that's a more gentler way, without violating anyone, to just have them and say, don't, you're exiled, from here. Now, in the old days or whatever, being exiled was dangerous because being by yourself, you could be robbed or harmed or whatever. So there would be cities of old that would accept exiled people, and then they would be protected in these cities or places. So it's an interesting concept to understand the responsibilities of securing your rights and whose job that is. Okay. Anytime that you reach out and want a privilege from government, it'll be at a price or a cost, and you don't want to do that. At least I don't recommend that. So I just wanted to mention that tonight, and if you have any questions about, the journey of becoming free, what it isn't is becoming free isn't about a legal thing. Okay, many times those processes, we're trying to make sure that our liberties aren't being violated, and that we can pursue and do things without having to pay or embracing involuntary servitude. And then, of course, with Destination Freedom, we're all about helping people eliminate their federal income tax. Consequently, they would be eliminating their state income tax as well. But I get a lot of questions from people from all over the world. They come from Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Questions from, and now these are not Americans worldwide, although we do help Americans worldwide with all these processes that we have. We've done them in consulates and such as that. Even now, we are doing a process for a client in Costa Rica. So that's going to be a nice journey. Recently, we had a client who did this process in Mexico, and that's exciting. But we've done it also in Spain, and we've done it in Luxembourg, Saudi Arabia. We've done this process in, just spacing off the top, those just some that I can think of. So it's always an exciting journey to do that. But what I was saying was, we have people who've come along and say, hey, can I do this process where I live? And like I said, Australia, Canada, I've seen that from the UK. And, without really looking into it from a legal standpoint, the answer to that question would be yes. Now, why do I say that? Well, because there's only an option. If a government has access to the fruit of your labor before you get it, or is compelling you by pain of death, which would mean they're going to incarcerate you, prosecute you if you don't give them the first fruits of your labor, then you have the choices. There has to be a remedy. If the government is professing to secure rights, then there must be a provision for you to not participate in that. In essence, it would have to be offering that income tax as an excise, meaning we're going to offer you these privileges, but we want you to pay for those privileges. That's understandable. That has to be what it is. If there is no excise tax and it's a direct tax, that they're literally intending to tax your labor, then what that means is that you're enslaved, and you should run away as fast as you can immediately and endeavor to escape that tyrannical government. Because the truth of the matter is, you're a slave. So that's the way I look at that in general. So so if I was on a journey looking into those governments and things like that, I would look. Certainly, you have to look into history. You have to look at when was the inception of your government. When did it begin? For example, in America, it was July 4th, 1776. Well, was there something in America before that? Well, let me back up this way. America was, the free and independent states were created in July 4th of 1776. But the federal government wasn't created then. The federal government became created by the Constitution in 1780 something. I want to say like it might have been in 1787, and then it may. I believe it was ratified in like 1789 or something like that. But whatever it is, you recognize that it was after that. So, what was there before there was a central government? And as far as the 14th Amendment citizen is concerned, that citizen was created in 1868. So you see this timeline. The federal citizen is a statutory citizen. What does that mean? That means that a government by legislation has created that citizenship. I know of no state in the Union that has created a statutory citizen. That would mean that before the state government was created, there were citizens in that state. Now, in America, they typically would be citizens of, depending on the time, they would be citizens of the federal. They would be federal citizens, not a 14th Amendment citizen. That would have been after 1868. But they would have just been citizens in the territories. Once those territories became so populated, they voted to become states. And then they were on the same equal basis as the original colonies were. You can see that historically in America. So when I say that, and we're talking about Canada, Canada is not a country, just like America is not a country. America is a confederation of states. It's a union, okay? And you shouldn't have a romantic inclination towards America any more than you would think a European or an Italian or a German or a Dutch person would have about their central union. Should they be all gaga about their, about their flag? Should they be pledging allegiance to the European Union and its flag? Would that seem nonsensical? Would you think that was weird? Hey, it's weird here stateside. So the idea of that, you want to understand what is a union. Listen, Great Britain is a union. There's no such thing as the country of Great Britain. Great Britain's made up of, England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, that kind of thing. So Great Britain is a union of sorts. They called it the Union Jack, the British flag. Okay, Britannica, things like that. So, but in Canada, they have provinces. Those are their states. And so Canada is also a union. But see, these governments that create these unions, they want you to believe that they're a country, that they are the ones that are the basis of all of other countries, like as if those countries came out of it. Most of the time, if a central government is out of control, you can thank those states for being derelict in their duty to protect their citizens. That's a fact and a reality. So, and when that central union is violating those people, those states should step up and shut that shit down. But if the union governments are educating the kids and the adults, if you will, to have a belief about that this is a democracy, or that that everything comes out of the federal zone, that's going to be a breakdown, and that's going to be a psychological operation. And let me tell you, there's plenty of psychological operations happening. So if I were to study that subject matter, I would go after, did the state governments, like in Canada, can you find a place in their constitution where they created a statutory citizenship? If they did not, then there is no statutory citizenship, and there's a way to pull out of being a citizen of Canada and being a citizen of your province. Just like in America, we're not interested in being a U.S. federal citizen. We're a citizen of our state. That requires the federal government to not violate us and is bound by the Constitution. In America, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution is what empowers the federal government to tax and regulate and control their citizen. That would be their 14th Amendment citizen. I would imagine that Canada may, I don't know this, may have the same, maybe the same thing in Australia. There are states in Australia, and then there's the Australian government. And so anyway, that's what you want to look into and see. Let me see, I got some questions here. I want to see if they relate to our topic, and then we'll keep going here. Let's see, here's a question here. It says, what if others claim rights that get one unemployed? How would I defend myself? What if others claim rights that get one unemployed? I'm not sure I understand the question of others claim rights that get one unemployed. I'm not sure if I understand the question, but with respect to these processes, nobody is going to take a tax stand and is going to do these processes while being employed, okay? You're the one that empowers the corporation to withhold on your behalf and pay into the federal zone. We recommend that you set up your own business. If you want to do the same thing you're doing for this company, then contract with the company and change your relationship from being an employee to being a contractor. We've helped clients do that. It's actually paid off very well. Again, I'm not sure, because you say, how would I defend myself? I'm not sure what that means with respect to how would I defend myself. If you see a follow-up question on that, that would be helpful. Here's one. Should I pursue establishing a private trust and start opening a secured party? Yeah, I don't share that secured party creditor crap. It's not based in any facts or reality. It's a belief system. It's a faith-based belief system, so, but many of our clients that do these processes, if they have concerns about IRS or whatever, the number one reason that people put property into trust is to make sure that if they pass, that the property is not brought into probate. You're not paying any of these probate taxes and things like that with respect to those processes. So if a trustee dies, a protectorate can replace the trustee, and that's a very easy process. So that's one way to secure your property, is to put it in trust. If you've not done these processes and pulled out of the federal zone and you're a federal citizen, just being a federal citizen, having a trust, is enough for the IRS to be able to consider you and your trust as an alter ego. And that, as I show in the class, the state versus federal citizenship class, the IRS considers them the same type of entity. And then if you have a tax ID number on your trust, then of course you've brought your trust into the federal zone. That would also be foolish. But yeah, secured party, I don't recognize it. How secure do you feel? The secured party creditor stuff is not based in any facts. Okay, let's see some other questions. Thank you, though, for that question. Here's one. How does the Commerce Clause affect citizens? Oh, that's a great... Hey, Leanne, great to see you on here, the call here. Looking forward to spending some time together. The Commerce Clause in the Constitution, which is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. Isn't that right, Alma?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. The Commerce Clause allows the federal government to regulate between the citizens of these
of the states. Now, what does that mean? Now, remember, they use the word regulate. Regulate like a well-regulated militia. Regulate means to, like, you want your air on your respirator, on your scuba gear. You want the air to flow easy and effortlessly. The regulator's not there to make sure that your airways are blocked and it taxes your airways. That's not the purpose of a regulator, okay? And so regulate means to have an easy flow. Now, why is that? Why was the federal government charged with that? Because they didn't want the states to be taxing other states greater than they tax their own people. That there would be an egress and regress of activity between the states to bring a harmony. One of the beautiful ways of looking at that is if you read the Articles of Confederation and what that original relationship was that the central government had to make sure the states had a harmony. And so that's kind of cool. So to regulate, and it doesn't mean to constipate. That's the way it is now. The federal government is constipating between the two states, okay? And so they're not practicing original intent, if you will. And so we recognize that power, okay, between the states, but we want to make sure that it's not that the federal government isn't treating their citizens and using the Commerce Clause for that. And I'll just have to say this, the federal government uses the Commerce Clause for a lot of things. But we want to make sure that it's a limitation and not ever expanding. Here's a question coming from, it says, what have you done in your day in your day-to-day life to be a teacher on these topics? Well, that's an interesting question. What have I done in my day-to-day life? Well, you can teach what you know. You can teach what you've studied, what you practice, all that stuff. A lot of the stuff I do on my property, thank God for YouTube. How to change a pipe, cut a pipe, deal with, everything you can want to know in the physical, you can look on YouTube. Thank God for that. Now, back in 1994, 96, when someone sent me a book, I read this book called Vultures and Eagles Clothing by Lynn Meredith. Changed my life. I found out there were two types of citizens. I was always raised to tell the truth, do those things. And so, consequently, I started off on a journey looking at those things, studying those things. I can think of all kinds of mentors I've had over the years that have helped me along the way. Even back in the 80s, when I was part of a biblical research and teaching fellowship, I have very strong biblical research training handling scripture. And so consequently, when you learn these things, you teach people. You teach people who don't have those experiences. You help people. And so I've always been in that place of helping. I do have gifts of teaching. It's a passion for me. And I also have gifts of, by definition, as an apostle. Okay, what does that mean? Certainly that can mean something within the church, but apostle in general is, by definition, is bringing new light to a new generation. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's new light that's never been, but it may be new light to that generation. And so as an entrepreneur, I'm never afraid of starting something new or taking ground in an unknown. I have a lot of courage in that. It doesn't feel like I have a lot of courage because I just don't have a lot of fear. So sometimes courage is not the absence of fear. Courage sometimes is moving forward despite fear. So I don't feel afraid these days about these processes. And so, but I've had many teachers that have said, here's what I'm sharing with you, but don't take my word for it. Make it your own. Okay. I've been in conversations with pastors and people where we're looking at the scriptures in a hard way, and it may disagree or differ from what they believe, and I may be sharing scripture, or they may say something and I'll say, well, I don't know where that is or what that is. I have to go back and look it up, study it. We say to our clients all the time, when you're using citations, Always look up your citations. If you don't know what you're doing, you must do the work. I remember reaching out to Lynn Meredith, the gal that wrote that book, and said, I don't understand this letter that you wrote to me that I'm supposed to use. And she says, I can't help you. You have to look up the citations and work and understand this for yourself. I don't want to hear that kind of an answer. And I remember at that time not understanding whether I was going to use a letter that they wrote for me. And that was the first time that I decided to write my own letters to the IRS and things like that. And so I would pull from different things. And if I understood the subject matter, I would move forward. Now, with that in mind, I was talking to a client today and about they have taken the class, the state versus federal citizenship class. And as I asked him questions about what he believed about the IRS and about these things, I could tell that he didn't know his material. Okay? And it's really important for you to master this stuff. You must build a good foundation on which you're going to stand. You cannot rely upon me to give you all the answers. That's not what a teacher does. A teacher helps the student be able to find answers for themselves, And so anyway, that's the way it works. It's a school of hard knocks. I have a relationship with the Almighty, and so the idea of that is I'm always expecting people to come across my path to enhance my journey, like I hope I can do for you, and it's a beautiful thing. I have a very very vivid relationship with God, and it's tender and it's hard and it's strong. That's just all part of the way it works. I have such a blessed life. This last week I was in this conference. It was a men's event that was dealing with being true to yourself and to take ground and create a legacy for yourself and your family and your business. And that was rigorous. Not so much the relational stuff or the heady or the internal stuff. That I've been used to doing those kind of workshops and things like that. But I was in a place where there was a hurricane going on. The tropical storm was coming in, and I'm out in the hotel parking lot in shorts and doing push-ups on the pavement and all that. I don't usually do that kind of stuff. So it was like, that was awesome. Like, holy crap, what have I got myself into? These are these young guys, all buff, they do MMA fighting and, they're all bodybuilders, and not all of them. Certainly I was exactly where I was when I was in boot camp. I was better than some, not as good as others. Somewhere right in the middle. And maybe that's where you are. Not as good as some, better than others. That's pretty normal, So yeah, it's a struggle all the time. I am truly blessed. I'm thankful for my relationship with my wife, and that's a very fluid relationship. Is it where I want it to be? Of course, no, it's not. It requires more of me than sometimes I want to give. And, for my wife to get my love and to get my support and all that stuff, it takes a lot. But nothing of value comes to us without effort, so you have to give yourself in that way. Do I pay slave taxes? I don't know what slave taxes are. Are you asking me if I pay federal income taxes? I don't pay federal income taxes because I don't have an income tax liability. So I'm not a U.S. citizen nor a resident alien. And so, no, I haven't paid or filed federal income taxes since the 90s. And so that's where I'm at. And so we help people determine if they're a 14th Amendment citizen or not. And of course, most of the time when people are asked, are you a U.S. citizen? It's usually asking, are you a U.S. federal or a citizen of the District of Columbia? So, and do I have an LLC? I don't have an LLC. I've never had a corporation. And what we do for our clients is when our clients pull out of the federal zone, then we have to shut down all corporations. All corporations are governmental in nature. All corporations are born out of irresponsibility. Now, why do I say that? I say that because they're wanting their government to give them privileges and immunities. Therefore, the government taxes and regulates them. And so they want these privileges. What's the privilege? They want to have their assets, their personal assets. They want to do business and be able to harm people without having their personal assets taken. Okay? That's irresponsible. Government does that all the time. And they're saying, hey, we can screw people and you can screw people too. Isn't that exciting? And they do. And corporations are one of the scourges on the earth. Besides government, corporations are the scourges of the earth. And the reason they are is because you have business, a good thing, tied to government, a bad thing. See? Church, a good thing, tied to government, a bad thing. Charity, a good thing, tied to government, a bad thing. See? Because government is force. Government is always force. And so when you like people to tax people, then you're saying, we want that money and we're willing to kill you over it. All taxes, without exception, are collected under pain of death. Don't believe it? Try not paying it. See how it goes. You know, they're going to come for you. They may fine you. Don't pay the fine, prosecute you. Imprison you, try to escape, they'll kill you. There you go. Try not paying taxes. So taxes are not friendly. They're always under pain of death. So if you're taxing people, you better damn well be securing their rights, because I don't know any other way. And if people in the military think that you can be in the Middle East securing rights, you have no idea what a right is. The only right you're securing are your own rights to stay alive. And that's a reality. Name me a right being secured in Afghanistan other than the right to heroin or you know, whatever the poppy fields are about. It's a crock of crap. We don't need to be anywhere in the Middle East doing anything. We need to bring those boys home, secure America. That's all you have to do. So, no, I don't have an LLC. We don't recommend that. Would you lose Social Security benefits if you, do you lose Social Security benefits when you become a citizen? What's that?
The name.
You want the name on there?
Just say the name when you say it.
Oh, you want me to say the name of the person that's asking it? Oh, are they asking for that?
No, we don't post it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, this comes from Gary. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Would you lose Social Security? No, you don't lose Social Security. You can't lose Social Security anywhere. Why? There's nothing there to lose. It's already gone. All of it. So how much money does the federal government have? Let me see. Nothing. Name the government. Here's a question for you, trivia fans. Name the country that has the most debt on the planet. Ding! Land of free, home of the brave? Yes, that's right, Jimmy. The federal government, has bankrupted America. No such thing as bankruptcy. Why? We're just going to keep borrowing more money. And who are we borrowing the money from? I know there's countries that buy our debt. Okay, that's a thing. Listen, we don't owe the Federal Reserve a nickel. What a scam. Okay, getting back to Social Security. Now, you do these processes. Can you take Social Security? Sure, absolutely. But why would you want to? Why would you want to be on senior welfare? Listen, if you've never read the Social Security Act 1935, you don't know what you have. Does the Congress have an obligation to give you that money? Nope, they don't. Not a thing. It's considered senior welfare, okay? It always was an income tax. Was it voluntary? Absolutely. If you're an employee, the employer is going to entice you into withholding Social Security, okay? So, yes, you have power of that, but no. So you're not losing it. But the idea is, the problem is, it's money you're receiving from the District of Columbia, okay? It's welfare. You understand? And so therefore, if you're on federal welfare, if you're getting money from the District of Columbia, you're creating an income tax liability. You're going to be taxed, if you're not a federal citizen, you're going to be taxed as if you are a resident alien. That's a reality. The IRS easily can come along and say, okay, so when it comes to receiving Social Security, you are a U.S. citizen, but when it comes to paying taxes, you're not. Is that the case? And you'd be like hard pressed. oh gosh, maybe I shouldn't be, involved with that. But that is the reality. So we don't recommend it. We recommend all in or all out. And listen, if you're at retirement age and you're receiving Social Security and that's all you got, how irresponsible are you? How irresponsible are you to trust the federal pedophiles with your future? How irresponsible for you not to have created enough wealth to care for yourself or keep working on some level. At your age, you should be using your mind, not your body, to accomplish and create wealth for yourself and your family or what have you. If you have skills and abilities, help others who don't have those skills and abilities in any area. And listen, if you talk to the Fuller Brush Man, Michael, you know who the Fuller Brush Man is?
No.
Yeah, you don't know who the Fuller Brush Man. That shows my age. I am not an old man. No, no, I'm still trying to figure out how to grow up. But the Fuller Brush Man was the brush man that would come with a whole bag or a bin thing full of brushes. He would have toothbrushes, brushes of toilet brushes. He'd have every brush that you could, and he would come knocking on your door, and you'd be buying a brush from the Fuller Brush Man. Now, if the Fuller Brush Man that went door to door to make his living, or anybody that would go door to door to sell their wares, could have the internet to access to a worldwide market for free, how much wealth could he possibly make? How about the fact that you could have, if you don't have you don't have a website, you just want to have a Facebook page, that can be your website. You want to have a promotional team, you can have YouTube. I mean, my God, people, if you can't make money in America with those resources, what is the matter with you? I don't care what your age is. And I remember some wise guy told me one time, he says like, what's that? Just talk. Oh yeah, get back to the question. Am I digressing? All right. And we don't tell me what to do. I hate that. No. See what happens. What happens when? No, so that's what happens when we're working together with family. Anyway, getting back to Social Security. Anyway, thanks Gary for that question. All right, moving. I didn't realize we get so many questions. How should we set up a business so it's out of the federal zone? Yeah, that's a great question. You know what you do? You have your own personal bank account. Just start identifying your customers and just start working. What do you want to do? You want to work with people? Then just set up a contract with people. I would not recommend hiring employees. I wouldn't recommend doing any of that. Don't get an LLC or a S corp. Don't come into any of that. Just get busy working for people and have them pay you personally, privately. Don't do things corporately. Okay, so that's what I would do. I mean, you just start working. The idea of what happens in some states, they want to license every type of activity. Do things in the private. Don't do things in the public. You're not serving the public. Every transaction you do is privately. So that's what I would recommend. Most of the time we're getting clients to undo all that stuff and be in the private. People can give you money. You don't have to, you can call whatever you want, anything you want. So American Supreme Law, what is that? Well, that's a name I came up with. I think of it as one aspect of the way we serve people. But does it have a bank account? No. Does it? It's the name on the door. It's the thing I do. It's ministry, if you will. Now, there are a lot of people that want to do and make everything religious. You don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be religious. And I don't do this too. Here's another thing I do. People have donated to Destination Freedom, and I'm thankful for that. But let me personally, for our services, I don't take donations. We charge people for that. I receive money. There are people that think that how they're going to do the tax stuff is they don't want to say, I don't make income. They go by all these terms that they think they don't want to use. You can do whatever you want. If you're not in the federal zone, you can call it whatever you like. Just don't call it what they're calling it. What is the typical turnaround time between payment and being able to start the passport workshop. Oh, that's a great, yeah, I can see Nathan asking that. Typically, once we receive your hold harmless agreement, that's notarized, and we receive payment, you sign up for that. Typically, before you sign up for the passport workshop, you would be signed up for the class, the state versus federal citizenship class. So that class would come first for the passport workshop client. And so they would sign up for that. Once they do that class, then they have access to the passport workshop. So once they sign up with the passport workshop online and we receive your hold harmless agreement, then we give you access. And it might be within 24 hours. Whenever I get to seeing that that request is there, then when we do something in our back office that gives you access to the workshop. So that's the timeline. So it could be within 24 hours, depending on if we get your documents from you, your hold harmless agreement. The class, the state citizenship class doesn't require a hold harmless agreement, just the workshops or the full passport process. But that's a quick turnaround. Our passport process is actually happening very quick in some venues today, sometimes within 3 weeks getting a passport. That's faster than the 4 to 6 weeks they do when they expedite. Now, I can't say it's always that way, but sometimes we've seen that recently. And usually when we recently had a client get the FOIA documents back from the Secretary of the United States, and that was May, June, July, August, September. That was like 5 months to get those documents from Anthony Blinken. So those are wedding signatures from the Secretary of State. So I mean, that's the timeline on some of that. Sometimes it goes longer. Sometimes people may have some difficulties with that. But that's why we do the full passport process, so we can help avoid that. Can you still receive your Social Security that you paid into once you are eligible? Can you still, again, why would you want to? I get it. You feel, that you deserve it. I get all that. But you got to ask yourself, you see, the way I picture it like this, and I'm intending to be vulgar, okay? So I just like this. You don't mind, I could really be vulgar. You don't mind kissing the pedophiles and having that kind of relationship, but you just don't want to be taxed or take it up the end. You see what I'm saying? That's what you want. You don't mind them kissing you. Oh, I have this lovely relationship with the central banks. They take care of that's free money, that old government free money. That's where you are. So, you got to choose. What do you want? You want to stay in a relationship with District Columbia, or you want to be responsible for yourself? The pathway to freedom is through responsibility. So, and the eligible, they write on there what they mean by they come of a certain age where they can begin receiving Social Security. Here's the one. Is there a roadmap to follow so we can continue on our journey to freedom? You get to design the roadmap. I don't really know. I mean, one of the first things we do is come out of the federal zone. And then we deal with the driver's license. We have alignment workshops on the website. Our clients need to have proper tax documents. That means when you're asked for a Social Security number or tax ID, you're not going to give them a Social Security number or tax ID. You're going to show you're exempt in your W-9, and you're going to have a W-8, which is a certificate of foreign status. You're going to give that with your W-9, okay? We have those documents for clients. We have also about real estate transactions and things like that. We do have workshops for debt discharge, and also we do make trusts. Foreign irrevocable contractual trusts are available to clients if they want to put their property into trusts. And so that's available also. And the website will talk about that. There are some videos on the conference call tab at the top. You can go on that page. There are some videos or at least audio of different talks that we've done over the years that are subject wise that deal with some of the services we do. Person says, I'm a state citizen already, but I don't know my next step. Yeah, I would just go and now if we've done some of that for you, then you should have access to these other workshops that we have. Now, if you believe you're a state citizen and you want to come into this, then I would have to see how you're determining that, what you've done, in order for me to determine whether, you've pulled out of the federal zone. So we'll be glad to help you determine that, or help us determine if that's the truth for you. Yeah, so it looks like, and many people, what I would say, you say that you're a state citizen, you've certainly taken the class, but if you've never had a passport, that's one thing. If you've ever had a passport, then you've claimed to being a federal citizen. If you've answered yes to "Am I a United States citizen" in your driver's license process, or state ID, or you're registered to vote as a U.S. citizen, whatever that is, depending on your state, or you've answered yes to that in jury duty, then yes, you may have to change some of that paperwork, and that'll be necessary for you to be, so that you're congruent with your passport process or what have you. So, in the hour, holy moly. Well, I'll just get done. We can go on. What makes a state citizen passport different from a regular passport? There's no difference between they're both federal passports. If the state issued a passport, then you'd have a state citizen passport. So this is a federal passport. The difference is the application that you fill out. That's what's different. That's why once you do your passport and you get your passport booking card, we do a FOIA request and we get certified copies of your passport file. That's the difference. That's what you'll be able to prove in court. You'll have certified documents that you've testified under penalty of perjury that you've rejected that 14th Amendment citizen, and you're acknowledging or establishing the citizenship of your state, in which the Constitution protects state citizens. The Constitution does not protect federal citizens. Why? Because a federal citizen is a citizen subject to the jurisdiction thereof. It's a citizen who is subject to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, where they have exclusive legislative authority in all cases whatsoever. Are there any issues when traveling? No. We have clients that travel, and I've traveled over the years. Again, they're gonna deal with you as if you're a U.S. citizen. You're not gonna deal with state citizenship in any way at the border or whatever it is. They just look at your passport. They're just assuming that you're the same as anything else or anyone else. So that's, but yeah, you won't have any trouble with respect to that. Another question, do you think a VCC 1 or a non-UCC is a superior claim? Oh, UCC 1, yeah. Yeah, the whole straw man crap is just that, a bunch of crap. And look, straw man is a faith-based belief system. Listen, the Uniform Commercial Code, you're not commercial, and you're not a corporation, so it's not going to assist you in doing what you're doing. If you believe you're a corporation, then good luck with that. I don't know what I can help with you. I believe that you're either a man or a woman, so, you're not going to, whatever you want to secure yourself with respect to that, like the UCC 1, 308 or 207 that used to be, you don't have to do that. Just say what you want to say, and that's enough. So yeah, you're not going to do anything corporate. You don't need to do that, and it's not going to benefit you with respect to that. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, so I already answered that for. So anyway, those are some great questions. I appreciate those a lot. I love that you're engaging and all that. As we move into these other platforms, we want you to know that we're still developing our social media presence. We're still trying to figure out, how to do the studio better. I just want to say how thankful I am for your support. We are going to, there are a lot of things that we intend to do. Like I was talking to my son today, he was saying, with being in the office, having internet, getting into some of these social platforms and all that, it feels in a lot of ways we're really ramping up, and I think that's exciting. And so we're grateful for that. Listen, I just want to say this, is that if you have a podcast that you would like me to be on with you, then reach out to us at statecitizen@destinationfreedom.org, and reach out and let us know if you'd like me to be on your podcast. If you want to do an interview, that's cool. If you want to talk about a certain subject or whatever, or you want to just shoot the shit, I'm okay with any of that. I'm glad to be up for engaging and talking about whatever it is you want to talk about. So I'm glad to do that. As long as we can schedule it and fit it into our schedule, that'll be awesome. Yeah, of course, and we've done some of that. It's been a while, but I used to do that back when we had a TV show. You know, that's cool. So yeah, so that's all that stuff is good. You know who would be great to have on would be Vit with Lieberland. He'd be good. Oh yeah, was that? Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. So yeah, so we'll look at some of that stuff and open up some of those possibilities. Yeah, so if we can be of any assistance to you, if you can put 10 people together in a particular venue and you'd like us to, come in and do a class, if you have 10 people on board, then we'll consider coming out to your area and being a part of your class, okay? So, all right, well, listen, thanks for being on. I've got to finish packing my bags and head out in the morning. Got some running around to do, and I'm thankful for you. My life is truly blessed by you, and be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you. We won't see you next week. We'll be with you the following week.
He wants to know if you do impressions. If you do a good Christopher Walken or Bill Clinton.
I'm working on doing some walking, where he says, it's a lot of fun to impersonate people that really make your life extraordinary. Anyway, but as far as I know, I'll work it out. I got to get it in my head. But I did not have sex with that woman, who said that. Anyway, I got to go out and get another blue dress. So you don't have those things. I know my life is, it stinks. I get told that all the time. One time I was down in Acapulco in Acapulco. I just did my talk, right? And I said to the people around me, I said, like, I hope they don't bring that Bill Clinton crap up during my talk. And so I did my talk. It was pretty good. At the end, they said, do you know that you look like Bill Clinton or something like that? I'm like, oh, crap, I didn't make out of the talk without saying that. And so afterwards, they did a Q&A. And so then they were saying, like, Mr. President, what do you do this, this passport stuff? I was like, you guys suck. That's no fun. But anyway, look, it's all fun. And it's all fun and games until someone gets their eye poked out. Anyway, all right. Thanks so much for being on. We'll see you around. No bad comments about any of that stuff. I'll work on some Walken impersonation. Christopher Walken's awesome. Yeah, I got some good stories that, before we close out. No, one time I was at Starbucks, and they write your name on the cups, and so one time they said, what's the name? I said, Brad Pitt. So they write on there, Brad Pitt, and I got to go, yeah. So that's a lot of fun. You look around, see if anybody's looking, but no, that doesn't always go. Sometimes I get a question, they say like, hey, you remind me of that actor. I always say, Brad Pitt, and they always go, no, not Brad Pitt. Anyway, so, okay. Hey, have fun. Take care. Have a great night. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.